Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Wednesday, March the 30th. Got a big Wednesday slate, 11 gamer today, so I am going to try and go somewhat quick, talk through each one of these 11 games still, break down each team, give my early thoughts, what I do like, taking a first look at this slate on a Tuesday night. And then as we do go through each game, we will build out an early core, talk about 5 players that specifically stand out to me at first look. Now, as always, guys, appreciate you tuning into these videos. Make sure you hit that like button down below if you have not yet. Also, click that subscribe button as well if you are new here. And again, you can check out the sponsor of this video, PrizePicks. So if anyone is new here and they have not checked out PrizePicks yet, you can sign up with my promo code Noah. They'll give you a 100% match on your first deposit up to $100 when you sign up with my code. And PrizePicks is a player prop based DFS site, so it's very simple. You're just picking the over or the under on players' projections. They do already have a little bit of stuff up for Wednesday, but obviously this is not their full board. As we get closer to tip-off Wednesday night, there will be a ton of props posted for every game for just about every player. And again, you can take a look at their full board, make some picks for yourself. I do share a couple of my favorite plays on PrizePicks each day. I usually make a video in the early afternoon. I will have that video up Wednesday, probably sometime around noon, maybe 1 Eastern. You'll see that video up on PrizePicks, or that PrizePicks video posted. So if you play on PrizePicks already, you can check that video out, see some of my favorite plays for today. If you don't play on PrizePicks already, get over there, sign up, use code Noah. They'll get you a deposit bonus when you do sign up, and you can tell the picks I give in my PrizePicks video that I'll upload later today. You can make some entries for yourself. Definitely give PrizePicks a try if you have not yet. And yeah, guys, let's talk through Wednesday's big 11-game slate. So, when we have big slates like this, I do try and go somewhat quick. So we'll go through these games pretty quickly. Start off with Dallas and Cleveland. So looking at Dallas today, they are on a back-to-back here, but I don't think I'm too worried about that. They did blow out the Lakers on Tuesday, so really none of these guys played their full minutes. Luka had a massive game even in the blowout. He put up a triple-double, had like 70 or 80 Draftkings points. Huge game from Luka. I can actually pull up the Yahoo game log, see what he finished with on Yahoo. He finished with 68 fantasy points on Yahoo in only 29 and a half minutes played. 34-point triple-double, 34, 12, and 12 for Luka. Look, Luka's got massive upside every night. It's a big slate, so there are a lot of stud options to go to today. Don't love the matchup against Cleveland, but I think Luka is always in play. He's really the only guy I'm interested in from Dallas. Since it is a back-to-back for Dallas, they could maybe sit somebody here, but I would expect everyone to be in, and if that's the case, I think Luka's in play, and that's probably all that I'm looking to from the Mavs. And then on the other side with Cleveland, so Cleveland is kind of injury depleted right now. They're still missing Jared Allen, and Evan Mobley is going to be out as well. So they are really thin in the front court. No Mobley, no Jared Allen. We'll kind of talk through how that impacts things. First off, though, you have Darius Garland at 10,200. Right now, I think Garland's just too expensive for my liking. I think Garland still offers a big ceiling and can put up a big game any night, and we saw him put up a big game against Orlando last game. Put up 55 Draftkings points in 40 minutes. Cleveland, right now, they're fighting for playoff seeding, so they're playing, they're going all out every game. They're playing their starters huge minutes. We're seeing Garland play 40 minutes a night, so the massive workload is going to be there. I just don't know at this price point if Garland really stands out. Plus, it's a tough matchup against a good Dallas defense. But I definitely like Kevin Love. I think without Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, Kevin Love does stand out quite a bit on this Cavs team. I'm guessing they start Kevin Love at center. I don't think that's a guarantee. We've seen even when even when Allen and Mobley have been out before, like sometimes Kevin Love doesn't start. I know before they have started Ed Davis, but I would think Kevin Love starts here. Even if he doesn't start, you would have to think he's going to play big minutes just because no Mobley, no Allen opens up so many minutes in the front court. And Kevin Love's one of these guys that we know can be really productive when he gets minutes. He's put up a lot of 45, 50-point games this season. When he plays 30-plus minutes, he's got 40, 50-point upside. I definitely like Kevin Love on the slate. I think the price tag at $6,900 is going to make him not like super popular. I just think at this price tag, he's just not going to project super well. But I'm fine going to Kevin Love at $6,900 because I think he's got 40, 50-point upside when he's playing 30-plus minutes. And I would expect Kevin Love to get 30-plus minutes today without Mobley and Allen. So really like Kevin Love on the slate. On Yahoo, he's really cheap. So I think Kevin Love will be pretty popular on Yahoo, but at $16, really hard to overlook him there. He's definitely one of the top value plays on Yahoo. And then the rest of the Cavs, Caris LeVert has been starting lately and been getting good minutes. So at $5,900, I think LeVert's a fine option. He probably starts, plays 34 to 36 minutes. I think price tag's probably where it should be. Caris LeVert hasn't been nearly as productive with this Cavs team as he's been with, as he was with Indiana, as he was when he was with Brooklyn. His usage is not as high on this Cavs team, but I still think he's a fine option. And then again, like keep an eye on the starting lineup. Like I said, I don't think it's a guarantee Kevin Love starts. If he does, obviously I really like him quite a bit. They might start Moses Brown though. Moses Brown is an option, and Moses Brown is a pretty good point per minute player. We saw Moses Brown have huge games last year. I think it was last year when he was with Dallas. He got a lot of playing time last season, and he had a lot of huge games with Dallas. So he's a good point per minute player. If he maybe starts here, I think at 3,900, I could definitely see going to Moses Brown for value. Don't know if his minutes would be super, super high, but if he would play like 22, 24 minutes with how good of a point per minute player he is, 3,900, he'd be viable. So keep an eye on that Cleveland starting lineup. That'll definitely be something to monitor. But that's really it for Cleveland. We can go ahead and move on to the next game, Orlando and Washington. So looking at Orlando today, no Wendell Carter Jr. for the Magic, which does impact some things. But I will note that right now the Magic are clearly they're full-blown tanking. They're clearly not trying to win games. Last game, it was a close game against Cleveland. And I don't think any of the starters played in the fourth quarter. Cole Anthony only played 24 minutes in a close game. Mo Bamba played 23 minutes. Wendell Carter played in that game, and he only played 27 minutes. Like, it's just so, like, the Magic are a team I just really want to avoid right now because they're just spreading out the minutes so much. They're playing like 12 guys every night. They're clearly not trying to win. Even if this game's close, it's not a guarantee that the starters play big minutes. If I had to play anyone on Orlando, like it's a really good matchup for Mo Bamba, and I think Wendell Carter being out is definitely a bump for him. We saw last time Wendell Carter was out against OKC, like Mo Bamba had a really good game. He put up 30 Draftkings points in only 22 minutes, but he only played 22 minutes. I mean, it's just like, are we going to get big minutes from Mo Bamba? I don't know, but I think the matchup is really good that if he does play like 30 minutes, he's got a ton of upside. Chuma Okeke should start in place of Wendell Carter. I would think he plays around 30 minutes. He's someone that they probably would play like even in a blowout or even in a scenario where maybe a lot of the starters don't get their full run. I would think Okeke still gets decent minutes, but like I'm definitely worried about guys like Cole Anthony, Franz Wagner. Like Franz Wagner last game only played 28 minutes. These guys just aren't getting 35, 36 minutes. It's really weird. They're playing the bench a ton right now. They're really spreading out the minutes. So Orlando is definitely a risky team to roster right now. But I will say that Wendell Carter being out does open up opportunity for Mo Bamba, for Chuma Okeke, and those are probably the two guys I'd look to on this Orlando team. Not really there's no one on the bench I think I'd want to go to. Like Mo Wagner should play more minutes without Wendell Carter, but I think at 4,500, he doesn't really stand out to me. So that's it for this game, or for this side of this game. Let's move on to the other side with Washington. So looking at the Wizards, they are another team on a back-to-back today. Kristaps Porzingis at 8,900. I don't think is a top option for me. I think this price tag is about where it should be. The matchup against Orlando is like mediocre. Orlando's defense against big men, they've been solid, so it's not a spot where I really want to be like loading up on Porzingis. But his usage with Washington's been really good. He offers plenty of upside every night. Just think the price tag is where it should be. The rest of the Wizards, Denny Avdia, I did like quite a bit on Tuesday's slate. He had a decent game. I don't hate going back to Avdia here. He probably plays like 30 minutes off the bench. At 5,300, I think Denny Avdia is viable. Tomas Satoransky, again, will continue to start, probably play around 30 minutes. At 4,200, I do question his upside. He's not a guy that really offers a ton of upside. He's not a great point per minute player, but he probably plays 30 minutes, and he's 4,200, so like he's viable. But really, there's not much that stands out in the Wizards today. We'll definitely have to monitor the injury report because it is a back-to-back. Porzingis, he did play on their most recent back-to-back. Is it a guarantee that he plays today? I'm not sure. We'll have to monitor that, but yeah, there's not a ton I'm loving in this game. I think we can go ahead and move on to the next one, Denver and Indiana. So looking at Denver today, love this spot for Nikola Jokic. I think Jokic is my favorite pay-up option on the slate at first look. 12-4 on DraftKings. He's expensive, but it's a big slate. I'm sure there's going to be value that opens up as the day goes on. And then on Yahoo at $56, I like Jokic quite a bit over there as well. I mean, against this Indiana team, going up against like Goga Batadze and Isaiah Jackson, like they're not going to have any answer for Jokic. We've seen bigs be able to kill the Pacers lately. I know Clint Capella had a really big game against them pretty recently. Jokic should be able to crush Indiana, and I think this game being played in Indiana should help to keep it close. If the Pacers can keep this game close and we get 34, 35 minutes from Jokic, wouldn't be surprised to see him put up 70-plus DraftKings points here. I mean, he's my favorite pep option on the slate, and I definitely like him a ton. I think Aaron Gordon at 6K is fine. Aaron Gordon had a really good game last game. He's had 2 back-to-back really good games. Normally, when Jokic is healthy, Aaron Gordon is not someone that I'm going out of my way to play. But he's been playing a lot better lately. I don't hate the play at 6K. Will Barton, Bones Highland, like none of these other guys stand out. Really, when Jokic is healthy, he's the guy that I really want to roster on Denver, and I'm not super high on anyone else outside of maybe Aaron Gordon. Now, on the other side with Indiana, A lot of question marks right now. Malcolm Brogdon questionable, Goga Batadze questionable, Isaiah Jackson questionable, and I think that's it. Dwayne Washington questionable as well. So they got a lot of guys questionable right now. If all these questionable guys are in, there's really nothing that stands out on Indiana because the price tags have gotten bumped up a little bit for when all these guys have been out. Like Tyrese Halliburton's 9,700 now, Buddy Hield's 7,300, Jalen Smith is over 6K. But if like all these questionable guys sit, then it gets really thin. Like at that point, I don't even know how many available players Indiana would have. They would have Halliburton, Hield, Smith, Brissett, Anderson, Taylor, Stevenson, Sykes, and that's it. Like they would only have 8 available players, I think. Reggie Perry, I know, did sign so he signed a contract with the Blazers. I know he signed a contract with somebody, but it wasn't Indiana. He's not in Indiana anymore. So, yeah, if all these questionable guys are out for Indiana, they only have 8 available players. At that point, we could definitely look to some of these guys, just because they're going to have to play a lot of minutes. But right now, I'm not seeing much I like on Indiana, especially if these questionable guys all play. Maybe Malcolm Brogdon at 7,500 you could go to, but again, Indiana kind of another team that right now they're not trying to win games. I mean, Brogdon's just been sitting for rest. Like, is Brogdon going to play 36 minutes today? I don't think so. Like, I think they're just trying to take it easy on him and not, they don't want him to get hurt again right before the end of the season. So I'm just not really looking to many Indiana guys today. I think the only way I'd be getting to some Indiana guys is if all these questionable guys are out, which I doubt that happens. So let's move on to the next one, Miami and Boston. National TV game. This one should be fun to watch, but for DFS, this is one that I'm probably just going to be fading. These are 2 really good defensive teams going up against each other, 2 slow-paced teams as well. I know this game does have a very low total, so I'm not seeing much on Miami. I like Miami pretty much fully healthy. At least the main guys are all healthy. Duncan Robinson's questionable. I think Caleb Martin's questionable as well. But like these injuries aren't really that impactful. When Hero, Bam, Lowry, Butler are all healthy, especially in a tough matchup against Boston, I don't think any of them stand out on this slate. Would I be surprised if Jimmy Butler plays well here in a big-time game? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Jimmy Butler plays well, but this is not a matchup I really want to attack, and the price tags on all these Miami guys I think are where they should be, so not loving much on Miami. And then on the Boston side, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown were both out last game, but they're probable, so they're expected back for today. Again, like Tatum and Brown in a tough matchup against the Heat, I'm not super high on either one of these guys. Would I be surprised if one of them has a good game? I wouldn't be surprised, but they're not guys I'm trying to prioritize today. My favorite play from Boston would definitely be Al Horford. So with Robert Williams out, I'm guessing that Al Horford will slide down and start at center. And we've seen Al Horford play pretty well in the games that Robert Williams has missed. Now, in the tough matchup here against Miami, going up against Bam, I don't love the spot for Al Horford, but Horford is still a pretty good point-per-minute player, and he should play 30, 32 minutes. I know Boston's still, they're still fighting for playoff seeding, so they still want to win some games. I think at 5,900, even in a tough spot, without Robert Williams, the upside for Al Horford is definitely a lot higher. His rebounding numbers should spike playing at center. He's a guy that can do a little bit of everything, can score, rebound, get assists, he can get defensive stats as well. If I had to play anyone in this game, I think Al Horford at 5,900 is my favorite play in this game. And then, Grant Williams, he'll probably start in place of Robert Williams, but Grant Williams at 4,800, especially with everyone coming back, I'm not really going to go to. So that's it for this one. Move on to the next game, Charlotte and New York. So looking at the Hornets today, you got LaMelo Ball at 9,200, who continues to play really, really well and continues to play big minutes. We've now seen 4 straight games from LaMelo where he's played at least 34 minutes, 34, 37, 34, and 39, and the production's been there. He's put up at least 50 DraftKings points in 3 out of those 4 games. Going up against the Knicks, I think this is a fine spot for LaMelo. He had a big game against the Knicks last time they played, put up 53 DraftKings points in 39 minutes. He's done really well against the Knicks this season. They have played twice already, and he's averaged 56 DK points per game against them. So I think LaMelo as a tournament option makes plenty of sense. We know the upside's there, and the minutes are starting to trend up for LaMelo, which is something we like to see. So I definitely think LaMelo's in play. Miles Bridges and Terry Rozier, they've kind of been inconsistent. Miles Bridges has definitely been better lately. He's been more consistent than Rozier has. I think Miles Bridges always offers a big ceiling and can put up a big game any night, especially because his minutes are just so high. In close games, he's going to play like 36, 38 minutes. Don't have an issue with Miles Bridges. Now, Terry Rozier has been really struggling lately. It's now been like 2 weeks now for Terry Rozier. Basically, last time he had a good game was on the 14th of March against OKC. It's been like 2 weeks since Rozier has put up more than like 36 DraftKings points. He's been underperforming to say the least. I think that will keep his ownership very, very low. So if you want to play a low on Terry Rozier, especially with the price tag coming down a little bit, I don't hate it. I think Rozier's playable, but that's really all I'm looking to on Charlotte. I don't think I'm going to anyone else on this team. The bigs are really cheap. Like Mason Plumlee is only 4,400, Montrezl Harrell only 3,800. But these guys just aren't getting a ton of minutes right now. Like Plumlee probably plays like 24, 25 minutes. Don't know if I want to go there on a big slate. Harrell probably gets like 20 minutes. We've seen them play a lot of small ball lately. They've been playing Miles Bridges at the 5 some. They've been playing PJ Washington at the 5. Like this is a team that doesn't. They're not going to force Plumlee on the floor or force Montrezl Harrell on the floor. They'll play small if they want to. So I'm not seeing too much I like outside of the main guys. LaMelo, Miles Bridges, Terry Rozier. I think LaMelo my favorite play on Charlotte. And then on the other side with the Knicks, so pretty good matchup here going up against the Hornets, who do play fast. Defensively, they've been better, but still, this is a team I do like to attack. So I think the matchup is really good for Julius Randle. Julius Randle is another guy that has been really inconsistent this season, especially since he's come back from injury. He's not looked great by any means, but I think Julius Randle will basically be unowned today. I don't think anyone's going to play him. So anytime you can get a very low-owned Julius Randle in a great matchup, I think there's always some upside there. So don't hate Julius Randle. RJ Barrett, I think, is priced where he should be. Really like the matchup for Mitchell Robinson. Charlotte's a team you can beat down low. They've never been good defending bigs. They allow a lot of rebounds and a lot of points to bigs. They give up a lot of fancy points to the center position. So I think kind of all the boxes are checked for Mitchell Robinson. The only concern is that his minutes have kind of been all over the place, but lately in close games, 35 minutes last game against Chicago, 35 against Atlanta. If you told me before the slate started that Mitchell Robinson was going to play 35 minutes, I'd have a lot of interest in him. I just don't think it's a guarantee he gets those 35 minutes. But the matchup's really good. I think the upside for Mitchell Robinson is there in this type of matchup. So, as a low-owned tournament option, I think he's playable. And that's all I'm looking to on the Knicks side, I think. So let's go ahead and move on to the next game, Minnesota and Toronto. So looking at Minnesota today, another team where I'm just not seeing a ton that I love. Matchup against Toronto, I don't think is great by any means. Karl-Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards. These guys always have upside. I say it basically every slate, but when they're all fully healthy, when they're all priced where they should be, none of them stand out today. I think the matchup for Cat is fine, but 9,600, he's not someone I'm trying to prioritize paying up for. Anthony Edwards always has a big ceiling, but we've also seen a very low floor from Anthony Edwards. We've seen a lot of 25, 30-point games from him. He can pop off and put up 45, 50 fantasy points any night, but is this a spot where he's likely to do that? Probably not. And then D'Angelo Russell, his price tag's come down a lot. He's only 6,600, but he's just been underperforming lately. Hasn't really been justifying his salary. I'm just not seeing much on Minnesota today. There's really nothing I'm super high on here. And then on the Toronto side, Toronto, they're basically back to a point where their main 5 guys, Siakam, VanVleet, Scotty Barnes, Gary Trent, OG, those 5 guys are all going to play big minutes if it's a close game. And then, the bench guys are probably just going to get whatever scraps are left. So I think if you're going to play anyone on Toronto, you're going to focus on the 5 starters. In this matchup against Minnesota, Minnesota has been playing really, really fast this year. They're actually leading the league in pace, but they've been a pretty solid defensive team. So, I don't think this is a spot where I'm going to be loading up on Toronto guys, but if you wanted to play one of the starters, I don't hate it. Siakam's been playing really well lately. He's had some big games. Matchup here against Cat, I think, is fine for Siakam. I think Siakam can definitely have success in this matchup, and we know if this game's close, Siakam's playing 40 minutes. So no issue with Siakam. Same goes for VanVleet. Scotty Barnes probably my least favorite just because that price tag I think is way too high right now, especially now that everyone's back to full. Basically with the Raptors being fully healthy, I don't think Scotty Barnes should be 7,900. He should be 6K. Gary Trent at 5,900. Always a risky option just because he's got to shoot well to hit a ceiling. But, like I said, Minnesota plays fast, so there's going to be plenty of opportunities for shot attempts for these guys. They're going to be playing up in pace. So that's a low-owned tournament option. Same with OG. OG's minutes have started to trim back up. Last game he did play 40 minutes, so I think basically OG's off his minutes limit. He was kind of limited his first 2 games back, but getting 40 minutes last game makes me assume that he's going to play big minutes today. If it's a close game, and OG's only 5,700, which is kind of cheap for him. So these Toronto guys are in play. I think Siakam and OG are probably my 2 favorites, but I'm not really forcing anything on Toronto. So let's go ahead and move on to the next game. Talk about Sacramento and Houston. So this is one that looks super appealing for DFS just because you have 2 very bad defensive teams going up against each other and 2 pretty fast-paced teams as well. On the Sacramento side, Davion Mitchell, the price tag has gotten up there. He's 7,600 now, but this matchup is fantastic, and Davion Mitchell just continues to crush. The last 4 games without Domantas Sabonis and without De'Aaron Fox, 46, 38, 45, and 41 minutes from Davion Mitchell, 46, 38, 48, and 40 DraftKings points. He's just been consistent as it gets. Love the matchup against Houston. I think Davion Mitchell's in a great spot today. I think he's definitely in play even with the price tag really high. I think the upside is there in this matchup. Harrison Barnes is a fine option. I do kind of question his upside. I question his ceiling, but the minutes have been massive for Harrison Barnes as well, and obviously the matchup is really good for him too. So no issue with Harrison Barnes. Not super high on Trey Lyles or DiVincenzo at their price tags. I think Damian Jones, though, is in play. Damian Jones, he'll start at center, should play 25 to 30 minutes. Matchup against Houston, again, I think it's pretty good. Houston going to be without Christian Wood. We'll have to see if Şengün plays or not. Like, if Şengün and Christian Wood are out, like, I really don't know who Houston would play at center at that point because, like, they're going to be really depleted at the center position. So, could be a pretty good spot for Damian Jones at 4,800. He's viable as well. But definitely my favorite play on Sacramento today is Davion Mitchell, and I think Harrison Barnes looks pretty solid as well. It's just kind of like a mid-range small forward option. Now on the Houston side, Houston right now, like they're a team that they're kind of another team I've been trying just to avoid rostering because of how they're spreading out the minutes, and clearly they don't want to win games. But they're really injury depleted. No Christian Wood, no Dennis Schroeder, no Eric Gordon, and Alperen Şengün is also questionable. So this is really important because without Christian Wood, we would expect Şengün to start in place of Christian Wood if he's able to play. If Şengün gets ruled out, like I really don't know who they're going to start at center. They could go small and play KJ Martin at center. They could play, like I don't think Enes Freedom's not on the team. I don't know what other bigs they have. Like this Garuba guy, I think he's with the team. So I think he'd be available. Maybe he would start at center. Who else do they have? Like let's see. See if they put in the player blurb who's available. So they have KJ Martin, they have Garuba, and Bruno Fernando. I forgot Bruno Fernando's on the team, so they do have Bruno Fernando they could give some minutes to, I guess. So we would have to monitor. We're going to have to monitor the Şengün news because it's going to be really important. Obviously, the matchup here against Sacramento is really good, so there's going to be some guys worth targeting. Kevin Porter Jr. at 7K, I think looks like a pretty good play today. Without Christian Wood, there's just going to be massive upside available for Kevin Porter Jr. I think no Dennis Schroeder is really big for KPJ as well because Dennis Schroeder is a guy that can take usage away from KPJ, can also take minutes away from him too. And Schroeder not being available really secures the minutes for KPJ. KPJ did play 36 minutes last game. Does he play 36 minutes today? I don't know. But I think if the game stays close, we should get at least 30 minutes from him. And the production should be really good without Christian Wood and with all these guys out. Like KPJ should lead the team in usage. So I think it's 7K. He looks really appealing. I think Jalen Green, even though he's been very inconsistent this season, he should play huge minutes and take a ton of shots. He took 24 shots last game, played 40 minutes. Is 6,500 in a really good matchup against Sacramento. Like, I have no issue going to Jalen Green today. I think he looks like a solid option. Jae'Sean Tate, minutes are always a question, but last game he did get 28 minutes, which is the most he's played in a long time. So I think the minutes will be a lot more secure for Jae'Sean Tate. Don't hate to go there at 4,500. If KJ Martin starts or if Şengün gets ruled out, like I really like KJ Martin because I think there'd be a lot of minutes available for him. And again, like they might just go small and start KJ Martin at the 5. So definitely think if KJ Martin starts by some scenario, or if Şengün gets ruled out, I would feel pretty good about him as a value play. And then again, like if Şengün does sit, they can maybe start Bruno Fernando. They can maybe start Garuba. If one of those guys starts, they would become viable as well. But there's definitely some guys I like on this Houston side, and there's going to be a lot to target in this game because these are two bad defensive teams, two pretty fast-paced teams as well. I'd expect this game to be very high scoring. So a lot to like in Sacramento and Houston. But let's move on to the next game, Atlanta and OKC. So looking at Atlanta today, you got Trae Young coming in at 11K. I think Trae Young on this slate is a very, very solid pay-up option. I do worry a little bit about blowout here. Obviously, OKC is a terrible team, and they're probably going to get blown out a lot rest of season. But this game is being played in OKC, which I think helps to at least keep it somewhat close. I don't know what the spread is right now. If this game can stay close, you would have to think Trae Young is probably going to crush because OKC is just going to have no answer for him. So I think at 11K, Trae Young is a pretty solid pay-up option here. The rest of Atlanta, I do want to talk about Clint Capella just because I think it's a fantastic matchup for him. Clint Capella should be able to destroy this OKC team. They've been terrible defensively against bigs. They're a terrible rebounding team as well. So this is definitely another spot where we could get a big game from Clint Capella. And Clint Capella is starting to find a groove. Last two games, 41 and 45 Draftkings points. He's played 31 minutes in both games as well. If we get 31 minutes from Capella here against this OKC team, like I think he's got 40, 50 point upside. So definitely have interest in Clint Capella. I would feel a little bit better about him if Gallinari sits because I think Gallinari, if he sits, like that just makes the minutes become more secure for Capella. But yeah, definitely think Capella's in play in a really good matchup. And Gallo and Hunter are both questionable. I don't know if them being ruled out, like I don't know if that changes too much. It would just open up more usage for guys like Bogdan, Kevin Herter. I think DeLon Wright did start last game, if I remember correctly. He did play 31 minutes, so like if DeLon Wright starts again, he would definitely be someone worth considering as a value play. But that's probably it from Atlanta. So let's go ahead and move on to the other side of this game with OKC. So OKC, they're a team we're definitely going to have to look to today because they are very shorthanded. They're missing so many guys right now. Basically, last game they only had 8 available players after Trey Mann got ruled out. If Trey Mann does not play today, I'm pretty sure OKC once again will only have 8 available players. Poku, Roby, Maudon, Wiggins, Waters, Krejci, Sarr, and JRE. Those would be the 8 available players for OKC if Trey Mann doesn't play. If Trey Mann plays, that would give them 9 available players. But with so few bodies right now for the Thunder, you kind of have to look to some of these guys. Now, the price tags have gotten bumped up a good amount. Like Poku is almost 7K. Roby's almost 6.2. I think in order for me to go to those guys, I would probably want Trey Mann to be out just because I think their minutes become more secure, become higher, and their usage would be pretty solid as well. But I think a guy like Theo Maudon, Theo Maudon at 5,700, I like quite a bit. He's been starting the last few games. His minutes have been really good. He played 40 minutes last game in that overtime game against Portland. Had a big game, 45 Draftkings points. Theo Maudon this season has not been a great point per minute player, but a lot of his minutes he's played like with SGA, with Lou Dort, with Giddey. When you take all those guys off the floor, it just allows for these guys that don't get as much opportunity normally to be more productive. And we can see these guys like Theo Maudon and Trey Mann be productive when they do get minutes, just because there's so much usage to go around and so much opportunity for these guys, and the minutes are also going to be there as well. Like I would think Theo Maudon probably plays 32, 33 minutes here. If Trey Mann sits, he might get 35, 36 minutes. And 5,700, like I still think this price tag's a little too low for Theo Maudon because I think the upside's definitely there just with how shorthanded this OKC team is right now. And then on Yahoo, Theo Maudon is $16. I do like him quite a bit over on Yahoo. And then you also have Aaron Wiggins at 4,600, who I think is a pretty good option too. Aaron Wiggins last game played 40 minutes in overtime, took 19 shots. His usage was really, really good in that game. Scored 28 points. I'm pretty sure he led the team in points. I would think Aaron Wiggins probably starts again. He did start last game. I would think he continues to start, just with so many guys out. At 4,600, like I haven't really played Aaron Wiggins at all this season just because he's not really shown a ton of upside. But man, when you take Giddey, SGA, Dort, Baisley, when you take all these guys off the floor, like it's going to allow for these younger guys to get opportunity to show what they can do. I think, with how the Thunder are kind of in develop mode right now, trying to see what they have in these guys, they're going to play Aaron Wiggins big minutes moving forward, I would assume. And at 4,600, he's really cheap. I definitely like him as a value play today. He's cheap on Yahoo as well, $12. I would feel a lot better about these guys, if Trey Mann sits. But even if Trey Mann plays, I think there's just enough opportunity for this OKC team right now for these guys specifically, just because they're so thin. Because Poku, Roby, Maudon, Wiggins, those are 4. Waters, Krejci, Sarr, JRE. Like they only have 8 players. If Trey Mann plays, they'll have 9. Going to be a tight rotation, though, for OKC. Going to be plenty of minutes available. And I think Wiggins, Maudon, Poku, Roby, really the 5 starters I'm very interested in from the Thunder today. But that's it for this game. Let's go ahead and move on to the next game, Memphis and San Antonio. So Memphis today, obviously still without Ja Morant. I don't think there's a ton that stands out in Memphis because the price tags have kind of adjusted for Ja being out. I will say that Tyus Jones at 5,700 still looks pretty appealing. He should play, low to mid-30s minutes here if the game stays close. Matchup against San Antonio is really good. San Antonio does play fast, haven't been great defensively, so still interested in Tyus Jones. Jaren Jackson Jr. was out last game, and we did see Kyle Anderson start. So if Kyle Anderson starts again for Triple J, I would definitely be interested in Kyle Anderson because he's a pretty good point per minute player. You would think if the game's close, obviously the game was a blowout last time, but if the game stays close today, I would think we get like 28, 30 minutes from Kyle Anderson. So I would have my eye on Kyle Anderson for value if he starts again. And that's probably all that I'm looking to from Memphis. I don't really see anything else I'm loving. And then on the San Antonio side, DeJounte Murray at 11-2, I have no issue going to today. Like DeJounte Murray right now, especially with the Spurs fighting for playoff seeding, they're just playing DeJounte Murray huge minutes. Back-to-back games now, 38 and 40 minutes for DeJounte Murray. If this game stays close, I think he's playing 36 to 40 minutes. Matchup against Memphis, I don't think it's great by any means. Memphis is a good defensive team. Tyus Jones is a good defender. I don't love the spot for DeJounte Murray, but I think if this game stays close, it's going to be because of DeJounte. He's the entire offense for San Antonio. He continues to just crush every single night. He's been so consistent this season, playing huge minutes, just has a massive role. So definitely think DeJounte Murray's a really good play. Outside of DeJounte Murray, I don't think I'm really going to anyone else on San Antonio. Just nobody else stands out at their price tags. So let's go ahead and move on to the next game. We got 2 late night games to go over, and then that'll be it for the slate. But first game, Phoenix and Golden State. Looking at Phoenix today, Again, not a ton I'm loving here because Chris Paul is back now, and that obviously takes away from guys like Devin Booker, Cam Payne, Mikal Bridges. Really, everyone just gets a small bump down with Chris Paul back. Worth noting that Devin Booker did still have a big game or a big scoring game last game with Chris Paul in, but he didn't really contribute with the peripherals, and I think the peripherals are going to be a lot lower for Devin Booker now that CP3 is back. Like his assist rate's going to go down. I don't know if he's going to get as many rebounds. I think he's going to be a very scoring dependent player moving forward. And in 9,500, like I'm not going to pay this price tag for Devin Booker, especially with CP3 in. Now I think CP3 at 8K looks kind of appealing because the 2 games he's played since he's come back from his thumb injury, 30 and 36 minutes, 46 and 50 Draftkings points. I mean, Chris Paul's been really productive since he's come back. He's shown no signs of slowing down. He's been really productive this season. He's been like a 9K player all season. I think we are getting a discount on Chris Paul right now just because he's coming back from injury and the price tags were bumped down while he was injured. He should be like 9K. Like I think we're getting a nice price tag on Chris Paul today. So 8K Chris Paul, definitely my favorite play on Phoenix. Not loving really anything else on the Suns though outside of CP3. And then on the other side with Golden State, not much I'm liking on Golden State today. All the price tags have gotten bumped up a lot. Obviously Clay really expensive right now. Jordan Poole really expensive and a tough matchup. Wiggins I'm not loving. Draymond still on minutes limit. Like I think Golden State is a team I might just full fade today. There's really nothing that stands out here. The price tags are all where they should be. The matchup's not great against Phoenix either. So not super high on many Golden State guys. I think we can go ahead and move on to the last game of the night, the Pelicans and the Blazers. So looking at the Pelicans today, you got CJ McCollum coming in at 8,800. On this slate, like I don't think CJ McCollum stands out, but I guess it is worth noting that this is a big-time revenge game for CJ McCollum. Obviously, he played with Portland for so long. This is the first game he's played against Portland since he left. So I think there's definitely a narrative with CJ McCollum today. I think the fans will be cheering for him. Obviously, he was very loyal to Portland. He stayed with them for so long. But when Brandon Ingram is back in this lineup, that does bump down the usage for CJ McCollum. Like I think projection's not going to like CJ McCollum. I think when you just really think about the price tag and what he projects for, he doesn't look like a great play today. But if you want to play CJ McCollum for the narrative, first game back against Portland, playing in Portland, sure, you can play for the narrative. But that's really all that I'd be playing for. I don't think CJ really stands out as price tag. I do want to note, though, that Jonas Valanciunas is questionable. So this is actually pretty important news to monitor. If J-Val gets ruled out, I don't know what they're going to do with the starting lineup. I'm guessing they would probably slide Jackson Hayes down to the 5, but they could just start Willie Hernangomez. It's to be determined. I would think Jackson Hayes benefits regardless, though. If Jackson Hayes starts as center, then I think he's a pretty good play at 5,100 because Jackson Hayes, especially when he starts as center, he can be really productive. His rebounding numbers are really good when he plays center. Matchup against Portland's really good as well. So definitely would think Jackson Hayes would get a boost if J-Val's out. Obviously, Willie Hernangomez would get a bump as well, but I would probably only be going to him if he starts. Larry Nance they do have as well. They could give some minutes to. What is Larry Nance's price? Where is he at? So Larry Nance is like 3,900. Like if Larry Nance were to start for J-Val, like that could be someone to go to. But right now we'll just have to monitor the J-Val news. This is one of the late night games, so I don't know when we're going to get news on J-Val. Brandon Ingram at 7,300. In his first game back, he did play limited minutes, 26 minutes, but he was really productive. Had 41 DraftKings points. Price tag on Brandon Ingram does look pretty appealing here at 7,300. Right now the Pelicans, I think they're fighting for playoff seeding as well, so they really want to win games right now. They're kind of going all out. They're going to play their starters pretty big minutes, so I think at 7,300, Brandon Ingram looks pretty appealing today. I would assume he plays more than 26 minutes, and matchup against Portland is really good. So definitely think Brandon Ingram's a solid play. That's probably it, though, from the Pelicans. I'm not looking to really anyone else here. J-Val news will be really important to monitor, though. We could definitely get some value from the Pelicans if J-Val winds up sitting. And then on the Blazers side, so the Blazers, kind of similar to OKC, they're another team that's just really shorthanded right now. Last game, they only had 8 available players: Eubanks, Williams, Ellaby, Johnson, Dunn, McLemore, Hughes, and Blevins. Those were the 8 available players last game, but I do want to note that Greg Brown was doubtful last game, did not play. Well, he's probable, so they should be getting Greg Brown back for today. And then this other guy, I have no idea who this dude is. Didi Lozuda is probable as well. So this guy is available to play for Portland too. I don't know how many minutes he really gets, but Portland will have 10 available players today, it does seem like. So they're not going to be as short-handed as they have been. So like Drew Eubanks at 8,100, tough to really go there at that price tag, even though he's been really productive lately. I mean, 8K is just, God, at 8,100 just feels like so much to pay for Drew Eubanks. But my God, the dude put up 60 DraftKings points last game. I mean, the upside is there. Like he's been really productive when he's gotten minutes. Just think the price tag is too high right now. Same goes for Brandon Williams. I do want to mention CJ Ellaby, though. So CJ Ellaby last game in that overtime game played 38 minutes, and he was productive, had 9 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, and a block, had 32 DraftKings points in those 38 minutes. I think CJ Ellaby's minutes are going to be pretty good moving forward, especially while Josh Hart's out, while Justice Winslow is out. And I don't think those guys are really going to play at all the rest of the season. I think the rest of the season, these are probably going to be the only players that play for Portland. Josh Hart's probably not going to play the rest of the season. Simons isn't playing. Watford's probably done for the season. Ellaby's probably done, or not Ellaby, but Winslow's probably done for the season. Little's done for the season. I don't think Eric Bledsoe's ever going to play. So Portland's going to, just kind of see what they have in these guys that are getting minutes right now. And I think Ellaby is someone they'll probably try and give minutes to moving forward. He's played 30-plus minutes in back-to-back games. I would think even with Portland getting a couple of extra bodies for today, we still get probably 30-plus minutes from Ellaby. So at 5,300, I do kind of like CJ Ellaby on the slate. I think he really stands out on Yahoo, though. He is minimum salary on Yahoo. So at minimum salary, $10, I think he's a really, really good value over there. Definitely like CJ Ellaby, probably my favorite play on this Portland team. And then Ben McLemore coming off the bench. He got really hot off the bench last game, had a big scoring game, put up 40 DraftKings points. I think it's a low-owned tournament play. Ben McLemore is viable. Obviously, with Portland getting 2 more available players for this game, I don't think the minutes are going to be as secure for these guys just because there's going to be more bodies available. But I would think if this game's close, we probably get 25, 30 minutes from Ben McLemore. And he's someone that can get hot from the field, can put up a big game if he's shooting the ball well, which obviously he did last game. Don't have an issue with him. I think he's in play. Probably it, though, from Portland. I think that's everything that really stands out here. So that's it for Portland, and that's it for these 11 Wednesday games. A big slate today, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. As always, appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed, hit that like button down below. Hit that subscribe button as well. Again, go check out the sponsor of the video, PrizePicks. Sign up for PrizePicks. Use code NOAH when you do. PrizePicks will match your first deposit up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. And you can take a look at PrizePicks board for Wednesday. Make some picks for yourself. I will have my video posted for PrizePicks sometime on Wednesday, probably in the early afternoon, sharing a couple of my favorite plays on PrizePicks for in that video. If you want to check that out, if you are interested, you can do so. But yeah, I wish you guys the best of luck tonight. I appreciate you watching the video. I hope you did enjoy, and we'll see you in the next one.